Hey everybody, I am back. It's been a little bit since I put something out for Throne and Liberty. I've been focusing a lot on what do I want my build to look like. I've been rebuilding and changing armor, changing etc. on the character, especially my character that's over here on the standard access server or standard release server. I'm playing on both standard and also on early access so that I can really have some ideas of what are we seeing different between the two server types. I've been playing mostly over on the standard release server though. I just like the people a lot more. I like the guild that I'm in, and I also really like just the server overall. Now, what I have been focusing on going forward, since we've had experience with learning the classes, learning the weapons, figuring out what we like to play and how to play them, is I've been focusing on what is my prep going to look like going into the next tier. I want to make sure that I make as few mistakes as possible going into this. So then it costs a lot less. As you know, grinding Lucent, grinding the gear is time consuming, and we want to make sure that we're able to just roll into the new gear as easy as possible. So I'm going to go over what I've been prepping for and what that looks like. Now, the first thing I've been doing is spending some time really calculating what kills me the most, paying attention, even getting as crazy enough to make Excel list on the type that kills me the most. I'll go in and just kind of jot down a name so I can look them up later and see, what was I dying from? Is that something that I'm dying from the most? Will it change if I change armor types? I've been looking into that as well. But really finding out who is coming after me the most, who sees me in the back line or who sees me on the PvP field and comes right for me. And for you'll want to kind of look at that as well. And this is going to be your defensive focus, what you want to build around as much as possible. It's going to be pretty common. If you have a staff on your back, you're most likely going to have a certain thing coming from you or for you, opposed to if you have a shield on your back. They're going to select those targets whenever they're going out. So first thing to know, are you getting attacked by melee the most or dying from melee the most? Is it mostly great sword stuff knocking you down, daggers? Is it magic that you're dying from? You're getting burned up real quick. And then, of course, range. And remember, range is also crossbows. So are you having spinners jump into the back line, just blow you up and mow you down real quick, and you're not really getting through your cycles? You're not able to actually get any attacks out. You're just getting locked down right away from them. That's the important thing to know. So I've been in a bunch of fights. I now have an idea of what is taking me out the most, what is generally coming into the area that I'm PvPing in. If it's a back line, what type of damage is there the most? Is it staff wand, or not staff wand, but staff dagger? Is it dagger crossbow? Is it spear great sword? And that gives me an idea of what I'm going to defend against. For me, it really is a lot of ranged. It's crossbow daggers. It's something that's pretty stocked over here. There's a lot of crossbow daggers on this specific server. So in most of the groups that we're PvPing against, that's what I have zipping in really quick. There may be 10 of us in the back line, but we get zerged by, 8 crossbow daggers. Well, their AoE effect, there's no target required. They just come in and bomb. So that's what shuts me down. And if I don't have the ability to heal through my dots and heal, my tanks, my healers, and back them up with dots or dot healing, then I kind of run into a real big issue there. I'm not able to support the group. I'm not able to push out damage, and I'm just running and in defensive mode the entire time trying to stay up, which isn't really benefiting the group at all. So now I'm going to start building around that. But now let's say that you've decided that the class that you're playing isn't what you want to play going forward. There's new gear coming out. You're heavily invested in the set that you have now. And so since you're going to be changing it, now's the time that you want to go ahead and change classes. Well, let's talk about what that might look like. If you're going into changing your class in the next tier that's coming up, it's going to be difficult to just store up all the stuff to make one big change. So the better plan is, while gear is cheap, you should be picking it up. You should be farming the easy gear to get and start making that change now, especially if you want to group up and put traits all on the gear. You want to get it all set up. Now's the time actually to make that change. If you're in a guild, this is the time to ask, what do we need? If that's the type of PvP you want to play. Let's say that you want a solo PvP. You're not really worried about groups. You kind of just do your own thing. You're worried about ranking on the board. Even though you may be in a guild, you mostly just go out for your own ranking. You don't care about GVG or large scale. Still, same thing. If you're making that change, you're making that move over to a different build completely, do it now. Because now is the time that you will slowly start adding up the additional gear, or you'll add up the additional gear when the new expansion comes out, or patch, whatever you want to call it. You'll be able to singularly add those pieces to your build. So you don't have to worry about storing up the gear and then making one big change after everything's going. You'll be in a rush. It'll be harder to get a hold of certain things. And then this way you just get a new piece, you add it in, and then as you continue to push through the new content, you're able to add better and better pieces that are built around the build you're currently playing, opposed to having two sets of gear. It's going to be difficult to move through the new content without upgrading at all. So you're going to inevitably have to upgrade the kit that you're running now to be able to build yourself up. So what to do now? Make that change. If you're playing in a guild and you really want to push for guild success, especially with the server merges that are coming, which is going to be huge. It's going to add a lot of new players. It's going to change the dynamic of the server that you're on now. Get together with your guild. Long-term in this game and long-term success is about building a guild up. I've been part of many different guilds that, we were really good. We were on top. Everything was rocking and rolling. A Tevent weapon dropped, 9 people get upset about who it went to. And then we lose 8 people out of those. And now we're having to restock. We fall back. We lose a couple rift stones, whatever it may be. So you want to build into longevity. And if you can synergize with your teammates, that's even better. Talk to your leadership. Talk to the guild. Look for where the gaps are at within the guild if you want to make a change. You just don't want to play the class that you're currently playing. You're going to enjoy it a lot more, especially if PvP is your focus, if you're playing with a group that can be successful in what they're running and doing, opposed to just going out and finding somebody to fill that gap. And maybe the personality works out, maybe it doesn't, maybe they go somewhere else that is a better fit for them. You want to find a group that you can continue to play with, and that if you're building up and adding to the group success, that's going to be a lot more longevity. This new content that's coming out will eventually slow down, and then we'll wait for a new set to come up. Guilds that continue to be strong going forward, they have a lot of players that they stick with, a lot of players that, they're very familiar with. They want to stay there because they know that regardless of where we're at within the content, there will always be something to do, a battle to have, whatever it may be. So this is the time to start making those changes now, not after the expansion comes out. So definitely want to jump on that right away. Now I'm going to go over a couple topics, and I'm going to break each one of these down in additional videos. But if you're running a guild or in charge of a guild or helping a guild out, now's the time to start prepping for that. You've got a lot of opportunity for people that are looking to change, to help them out with, gearing for that change. Go do those runs. They're super simple to do right now. Where we're at with the gearing, we can blow through dungeons really quickly. So if you have people that are wanting to change, you have people that are wanting to go into tank, for example, and you need more tanks, or you need more healers, now's the time to start getting together with them and finding a way to help them gear up even faster. Like I said, you get a group of 6, you can blow through a dungeon, especially of guild members, really quickly. So start prepping your guild for that, as well as getting ready for the mergers. With mergers coming up, you're going to have a lot of new people around. You're going to have some guilds that are going to shuffle around. There's going to be a lot of change to the dynamics that are around you. So building a strong group right now is the way to go, and just prep your guild as well. If you got anybody that's hanging out that hasn't been on in a while, maybe check in with them, and or open the space up to get ready for that whenever the new merger comes out. Last but not least, let's talk about planning your build out. As you know, I like to use Questlog to be able to pre-plan, and I'm going to go over real quickly how to pull up the new gear so that you can start looking at what those builds will look like. You can start looking at what you want to set up for your defensives, your offensives, where you can get some of that gear, what the armor type is, so you can start planning. Because having an idea of what you want to go in for to stack on top of your current gear and what order you want to change things in, or just knowing what the right set is really important. So luckily with the quest log, we're able to go in there now and see exactly what that is, how we want to build our mastery trees out, what pieces of gear we want to pick up, what weapons are going to be the best for us, what our stats will look like, what stats we may need to improve, how to set up all the other little buffs and everything that go along with it. The difference in the first time that you built a character was you just had gear and traits. Right now you have gear, traits, runes. Next, you're going to have gear, traits, etc. So I'm going to go over what those are for you right now, so you'll have an idea of what that's going to look like. So let's get into the real meat of planning and getting your character ready through quest log. Now, in order to be able to set it up, you're going to need to go into NC Soft to be able to look at the gear itself, right? This is where that actual gear is at. You'll be able to make a build with that gear. You can go in, look at the new daggers, look at the new, any weapons that are out there. Take a look at them, anything that's been released with it, and you'll be able to see where they come from, etc. You can really break that down. So now you're really able to plan it out. You know what you want to play, how you want to play it. You have an idea of what you need to defend against, at least what exists on the server now. And so we're going to go in here and be able to look at the stats on the gear. We're going to be able to see what do we want to pick up. You can even take your existing gear, move it over here and upgrade it so you can pick up a path that you want to upgrade on. You can make a pretty unique build. The stats are way higher than they used to be, and there's a lot more unique capabilities within them. So you're not going to see just field bosses dropping the stuff that you want to be able to get a hold of. You're going to see a lot of different synergies that work within a lot of different pieces of gear that are pretty readily available. You also have your ability to make your mastery build here. Take a look at what you want to do on mastery, pre-planning how you want your weapons to actually function. This is a huge change to the game because you have a weapon and you're able to make so many changes to how that weapon actually functions and works. The skills will look pretty much exactly the same. There's been nothing that's really updated or changed within the skills themselves. I do frequently look at that though, just to make sure, but there is a new section here, which is called artifacts. So you'll want to go through here and kind of plan out what artifact do you want. You can see all the stats that are available with the artifacts as well as the set effects. So if you have multiples of that, what effects you get out of there. So it's like another gear set that you're able to add on, which just adds additional capability to be able to really tune your character out to how you want it to play, how you want it to function. You can change over to a complete dot build from a healing build. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with this. And it's going to add a lot more of the abilities that we're looking for. So how we talk about being capped at evasion, not able to build it up anymore. Well, you're able to find tools like this to be able to do that. Not only now do you have runes, you have your mastery, and you have artifacts, and you have stats and sets that are in your gear. So that's why it's really important to go in here. There's not too many builds that are pre-made right now. So it's definitely a good time to go in there and mess around with it yourself. Get in there, take a look at it, and see how you might be able to build around a certain theme per se, right? Like for me, dots. And then you can always go into the simulator here for the combat simulator. What I recommend doing in your time now is building maybe what you see to be your major offender, right? If it's, for me, like I've said many times, it's definitely crossbow dagger. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to build a crossbow dagger build. And I'm going to try to build the best one I possibly can to see how I can defend against it and how I can pre-plan. Once again, we've talked about it before. This game is really about pre-planning. Going out there, having the wrong weapons, etc., is just going to be frustrating and put you back into just having to spend most of your time farming that specific gear or changing a piece of gear that you've just farmed, which sets you back with traits, with everything. It's going to put you way back. Another thing you can do in here is obviously, even with the new gear, take a look at the stats. So if you need a quicker view instead of just the drop-down view, you can go in here. And another really good thing about it is know what your path is going to look like for your farm before we even get started. What is that farm going to look like? Well, I can come in here, take a look at it, and I can see, well, where do these daggers drop? Let's say, for example, the Destiny binders, I just got to have them. This is the best one for me. So I'm going to look at where they drop. What is their drop percentage? What mobs do I need to go after? Is it easier to get it from a specific boss or specific mob or specific event? I'm going to find all that out right here. So I'm going to have a list of everything that I want to do, but opposed to having to jot that down or keep it in memory, use your quest log, put it in there. You can even turn it off public if you want to keep it to yourself and keep it private. But now you've got a path and a clear path on the direction that you want to go. So that is definitely something I recommend everybody go out there and do. Now, next, I'm going to say really just start working on those plans. There's a lot to put together there. I'm going to break down each one of these sections by their own, right? I'm going to go over a guild prep. I'm going to go over a full build and quest log. I'm going to go over a full PvP simulator build and quest log. I'm going to break each one of these down. And then the last thing that I want to cover, though, in this video is going to be preparing for the market. So right now, we're in a pretty stale market. The market has dropped considerably, especially since we don't have a lot of people re-gearing, etc. Most people are just kind of waiting for the new stuff to come out. So one thing we want to do is start prepping that. Market plans are pretty easy. What we're really going to want to focus on 100% is picking up traits that are at 10 lucent and going out and finding traits that are above 10 lucent. We are going to have, obviously we want to steer clear of the ones that we know are just not very popular on specific gear pieces, ones that people don't really stack up or that hasn't found a place in class builds right now. Just let those go, not a big deal. But we're going to want to find everything that's sunk down to maybe 10 lucent on hit, crit, skill damage boost, etc., etc. And what we're going to want to do is stock a lot of those up. So as you're out farming, as you can see I'm doing now, I'm farming to find traits that sell for 20 or more lucent right now currently. There are some that are still out there, heavy hit or heavy attack chance, things like that still sell for a decent amount. Now, I know you'd say, well, why would we just save those so that we can go ahead and sell them whenever they're worth even more in the market? Well, everything is going to go up considerably because as new pieces of gear come out and people are getting them, they're going to buy those traits up. So any epic trait that you can get for 20 or below is a go, and most the 10s. People will still roll 10s to fill in gaps where they're missing some blue gear that they want to feed into gear. So we want to stock up on as much of those as possible because they're all going to sell pretty averagely between 25 to 50 would be what I'm expecting to see it go for based on what things were looking like whenever the game still had a lot of people gearing up. So the more that we're able to stack up, the more we'll be able to mass sell. So right now, currently, I have an entire, I would say more than 2/3 of my bank is full of nothing but traits that I know will sell pretty quickly. And most of them being epic ones, right? So I'm selling high cost ones right now in the market and buying ones that will still have a place and will still sell fast, but just aren't really the main focus right now for people, or they're too readily available that the market's so saturated with them that people are able to just, sell them for 10. They just want anything they can get for them because they're kind of worthless right now. So that is my market plan. Definitely the strategy I would say to go with. If you get to the point to where you're about as full as I am to where I can't really hold any additional, I'm planning for the ones that I'm going to spend for myself plus the ones that I will sell. Then of course, start selling them. Anything that's above, the 20 plus mark, go ahead and let those go. So then you can, of course, buy additional ones. But then once you get to the point to where you're full, then just hold on to the really good ones because obviously you're going to want to use them. Go through the stats that are on the new gear. Look at what stats you're going to need. Pre-plan those stats as much as possible. I know this is kind of the boring part because you really want to just run out, go kill a bunch of stuff and have fun. But where you're going to have fun is you have a huge opportunity to have a massive head start on everybody when it comes to the new season, the new everything. So get out there, get the planning, know what you've got going on. So then you're ready to fight. You're ready to grind. You're ready to do all the stuff that you want to be able to do. Now, like I said, I'm going to break down each of these sections. I'm going to go over what my market strategy looks like in more detail, what I'm stacking up, as well as I'm going to go over my build, PvP, etc. I just wanted to get something out there because I know with everything I've been messing with and with a little bit of time away, I have not really had a chance to get anything out. But I am looking forward to really deep diving this because I want us all to have as best of a jump as possible on everybody else and not have it set up where we're basically everybody's kind of catching up or getting their gear where they want it to at the very end here. All right. Thanks a lot. Let me know if there's any questions or comments and anything that you specifically want me to go over. Next thing that I'm putting out is going to be going over solo capabilities within the new expansion or the new patch, whatever we're calling it. So then you kind of have an idea of what your solo strategy should look like for PvP, PvE, etc., especially with the new solo dungeons coming out. That's going to be super exciting. All right. Thanks again. And thanks for all the support. And I will talk to you all soon.